Hi everybody.
Hello everyone.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about nutritional science, because we have so many people asking us questions about where do you get your B12 from, where do you get your B vitamins, where do you get your vitamins from, where do you get your minerals, what about your electrolytes and all the proteins that you're missing out on. These are very typical questions that we've been asked so many times, and we've been pushing it aside because we have a very different opinion to most people out there. How can I say it? We may not be able to give you the answer that you want because people want us to say, yeah, we get our B12 from apricots or something like that. That's maybe the kind of answer that they want us to give. But that's not the answer that we're going to give you. Sorry.
Okay, my story is that I never worried about those things. I worry about how my body feels, how when I eat something, how my body reacts to it. When I was pushed as child into heavy meals like meat, gravy, and then dumplings, that kind of food was for me torture to eat. And I was pushed to eat it, I have to eat it. And when I ate it, I felt sick. I felt not well. And soonest I reached the age, I could assert myself and not fear the authority of the parents, I would eat very differently. I would make my own meals. I would never eat those things again. So I believe we don't have to worry about what we're getting. If we're getting C, B or D or B12, we should worry how we feel after we eat something. This was never my concern. I have no reason to worry about those things. I didn't know why should I really. I didn't even understand those things. But because this was very popular question given to me, since I was saying to people I eat only fruit, even when I was vegan, a lot of people say where you get this and that, because also vegans supposed to have a meat for B12 and what have you. I always said, I feel great, I have no health problems, I don't know why I should worry about this. I didn't have any symptoms of any deficiencies, I was just feeling great. The best I ever felt was when I started eating fruit. When I started eating fruit, I felt so great. I was convinced within 2 weeks this is food for humans, because the energy levels and mental state and everything for me improved many folds. And I was not concerned. Why should I be concerned about things like that? But again, I go back when people start asking me and more those questions, more than ever since I became Fruitarian. Years after, when I got internet, I look into it. I search what kind of fruit have what nutrition in it. Please do it, you may be surprised. Fruit, if you compare it to other food, it's very rich on all of those nutritions our body needs. And I was actually surprised myself how good it is. And me and Mango, we don't even think we should eat bananas for this nutrition and apricots for... We don't. We just eat fruit which is in the season. We eat fruit our body desires. I want to have apples today, so we eat apples. And it's not like I should have an apple because it has this vitamin or this mineral, what have you. You have to experience it. Some people, they may start eating fruit, feel sick because they may start detoxing. I heard about it, but I never seen it in real life. Me and Mango, we had here a lot of visitors, mainly family members. Our rule is you have to eat in our house only fruit, and they did. Even my mother, she was here the longest for 5 months. She was striving, she was full of beans. I tell you that story separately, but none of them show any problems, like feel detoxing or anything like that, because they were so toxic. They didn't reach even that point yet, but they still benefited from the only fruit diet, and they would all be just amazed how good it is. They all were overweight, or most of them, they were losing weight, they were feeling better. Even if they not say it, we can see it on them. I also met in my life people, when I start sharing my life with, they start eating fruit as well, and I could see on them the benefit, and they could see it too, and they were very, very thankful for it. So this is the main thing, how you feel. You have to experience it for yourself. Don't be afraid of it. You won't die. You won't be deficient of anything. And if you have problems, that's mean. In my books, you have deep health problems you may not even fully be aware of. Because have a headache, have a bad digestion, have a no good sleep, and so on. You may think that's normal. It's not normal. It's a signal that there's something wrong with you, with your body. And disease doesn't come out on you like overnight. It builds up in your body, and mostly it builds up from what you eat. What you put in your body creates those things. And believe me, it builds up for a long time.
I think, I'm throwing my tuppence worth, that nutritional science is fundamentally flawed. Now, I got to say up front, neither of us are at all scientific. We don't own an electron microscope or whatever it is that you need to be able to see those things. And the idea of nutritional science is that there's like these microscopic elements of food that somehow we need to make sure we're getting them all. And it's a way of looking at food which distances us from nature. It doesn't bring us closer to nature, it actually distances us. It's like a cosmonaut way of thinking of food. And that you think, oh, I need to have protein, whatever a protein looks like. I've never seen one before, I don't know. I don't know what a B12 looks like. I don't know these things. For me, it's all gobbledygook, because people talk about these things with a familiarity that breeds contempt, in my opinion. They talk about these things like they really know, because they've been brainwashed by society into thinking that this is the way that you have to look at food. But every animal out there has their species-specific diet, and they eat their food, and there's not a worry in their mind that they're not going to get enough electrolytes or omega-3s or whatever it might be. And we as humans, the more naturally we're living, the further we're going to distance ourselves from things like nutritional science and worrying about those things. It's actually a path of destruction, not a path of creation and happiness. In order to understand things like proteins and vitamin B3 or whatever it might be, or D, vitamin D, it requires minute destruction, dissection of both food and the human body or animal body in order to understand how the two link together. And we're never going to be advanced enough in this so-called science that we understand fully how everything works. And we understand there are certain vitamins out there, but I'm sure there's still heaps that we still haven't found that the body requires. And really, we don't need to know about them. The body knows what it needs. When the body is presented with a proper selection of foods, it will go for what it feels, providing that selection of food is proper. If you start putting in foods in that mixture that are not proper, that are maybe third degree burnt before you put them there, or dead rotting animal flesh, which is what people eat when they say they're eating meat, because animal flesh starts to rot as soon as the animal dies. It's just part of the natural process.
Yes.
If you start eating these wrong things, then you're going to run into trouble. And it's at this point that people think, oh, I'm running into trouble because I'm not getting enough of this or that or whatever. But the truth is, internal blockage inside, because you're suffering from toxemia, an overburdening of toxic elements within your body. This prevents your body properly assimilating your food and getting all the nutrients that you need out of it. So unless you're eating proper, clean food, then there may be some need for you to be supplementing with vitamin supplements or something, because it may be true that if you're eating a lot of toxic foods, that it may help in some way. Now, I'm not saying that is true because I don't know, but I am saying that the reverse is true. If you're eating clean, you don't need any of that. And we're not doctors either.
No.
So honestly, at the end of the day, if you feel like something is there, then go ahead and consult your GP if that's what you want to do. It's not something that we do. It's not something that we recommend, but we don't recommend anything. We're not recommending to you to follow us or do anything or agree with what we're saying. We are purely telling you how we feel about things and leaving it up to you to make up your own mind what it is you feel is right or wrong. Because we are not authority on truth. We are authority on what we believe is truth, and that's a very different thing.
On what we experience.
And what we experience.
And actually for me, what I experiencing is truth.
Yep.
And
yep.
Also I want to say one more story from me. I got once bitten by something, I don't know what it was, I think it could be spider. It was on a sensitive part of body, and I could see the bite is very active, and after maybe 2 months from that bite, I got 2 red lines, long lines, and I started feeling sick. That bite was very red and very itchy and what have you. And my mother was here visiting, and she was really worried for me. And I was knocked out after maybe a week when those 2 lines arrived. I was just lying in bed, drinking only watermelon juice to try to flush over the toxins in my body, and nothing was working for me. I was just getting worse. So I decided to go to doctor. If maybe they would know what bite it is, they would recognize by what it looks like. I went to doctor because I thought they may indicate what bite me and give me an antidote. Now, I wasn't well already for a while. I wasn't fully vivid. My mind wasn't clear. And my mother, because I was lying already for a week, I couldn't do much, I didn't have much energy. She used to come to our room and say, I worry for you, and she really was concerned about me a lot. And that also encouraged me to go to see the doctor. I believe if she wasn't here, I will just go through whatever I need to go through. But her pressure on me, she had a good influence on me in that level. She knows how to manipulate me. And so we went to doctor. And as we were at doctor's, and I was explaining, showing my bite and explaining what's happening, I got so sick I threw up in the rubbish bin in her office. And she said, you dehydrated, we have to put you on saline, some drip with salt, I think, in it, to hydrate me. And I was very weak and submissive, and I agree with it. They have straight in that building, they have emergency room, they put me in there, they put that needle in me. And this doctor, she knew me because I need the papers, because I drive by hands. I need the itchy paper from doctor. I'm okay physically to drive. My health is okay to drive the car. And nothing got worse. My condition is the sign of my disability. When we moved up here, about a week ago, Mango said, we eat fruit, he mentioned it. And she knew it, and she disagreed with it. And she believed that my blood is full of sugar. Because I eat only fruit, I have a high sugar level in my blood. And she came to me when I was on a drip, and she said if she can take a sample of the blood, she wanna check my blood for the sugars, because I felt perfectly fine. I knew I'm fine, I can't have any high levels of anything because my body will tell me. So I said, go for it. She took 1 sample, ran away with it, and then she came back again and she said, can I get another sample for your all over blood reading if you don't miss any nutrients in your blood? Because she was fully convinced that if I'm eating only fruit, there is definitely something wrong with me. And I felt better after that drip. We went home, and that drip actually picked me up, and the bite naturally left me after some time, so I didn't have to deal with it. But she wanted me to come to see her within like 3 weeks to see how I'm doing. So we went there. And this was interesting timing. As we were sitting in her office and I was telling her I'm perfectly fine to buy this receding, it's not so activated anymore, and so on, so on. As we were sitting there, she just looked into my information she had about me on a computer, and just at that time she said, your blood reading arrived. And she looked at it, she was reading it, and she said, wow, this is a miracle, she said. And she said, you have a perfect, I never seen such blood reading. You have a perfect blood reading. Everything is as it should be, perfect. Only you have a low vitamin B12. And I said, but I don't have any symptoms of it. And she said, who really knows, and this is from normal GP, who knows what really right level of B12 is? She actually said, there is no proof how much B12 we have to be adequate to our health. Because I'm eating like this already almost 40 years. That time I see doctor was over 30 years. And if I have problem with B12, my body will already tell me more than once, and it never did. So I have no concern about B12. I didn't have a 0 on B12. I have some reading on B12. I don't remember the numbers, but she in the end agreed that who knows what the level is, and I must be okay then, even if it is lower, then it's somewhere somebody stated this is what you should have.
For me too, I can recount a very similar story that back in, I think it was about 1992, 91, 92, I'd been vegan for 5 years or so, and I was teaching English to a Hungarian doctor. And this Hungarian doctor, Maria her name was, every time I saw her she would say to me, you can't be healthy eating just a vegan diet. I wasn't eating raw vegan, it was just a vegan diet. She said, you can't be healthy eating just a vegan diet. You must come into my office and I will take a blood sample from you and I'll get it analysed and I'll tell you what you're missing. And I always laughed and smiled and said, no, look, I'm not really interested. But she asked me this every time, and I was teaching her for well over a year. And towards the end I thought, okay, I'll humour her, I'll let her have some of my blood. So she did. She ended up taking some of my blood and she had it analysed, everything as well, full spectrum of the blood. And she came back to me and she said, okay, I don't see anything wrong. Everything is all hunky-dory with your blood, but your B12, I'll jump on it, B12 is off the charts low. You need to come in and get B12 shots. And bear in mind, this was back in the early 1990s. And I said to her, I don't want to do that. And she said, you really should. It's below what they can actually measure of B12. So you've probably got some, but it's below what we can measure. And I said, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, fast forward to about 2018, I think it was, and I was once more asked politely by one guy who was doing some kind of research online. He contacted me and said, I heard your story about this, having your B12 tested all those years ago and never having done anything about it, and you're still alive. And most people say B12, you may be all right for a few years, but then you're going to keel over and die if you don't do something about it. But I haven't done anything about it in 30 plus years. So I did go back again in 2018. I went to the doctor and said, can you test my B12? And I think I asked him for a couple of other things as well. And B12 came back once more, exactly as it was 30 years previously. I had B12 off the chart low, and I was told, come in and get B12 shots. So I once more refused. I'm still refusing today. Maybe it will be my demise at the end. Maybe one day I'll keel over and die from not having enough B12. But we'll wait and see when that happens. And I also want to say that back when I became vegan, I was very much obsessed with the vitamins and minerals and all that ilk. At the beginning, I really thought I needed to know that. I was sucked into that brainwashing that everybody else is sucked into, thinking that that's what I need to know. I need to know, where do I get my iron? Oh, I get it from green leafy vegetables, and where do I get this or that? And I was so sucked into that kind of world that I knew the name of the 8 or 9 essential amino acids that go to make up proteins that humans need. They're like long names. I don't even remember one of them anymore, but I knew them all. I could tell you what they were, and I could tell you where you found every one of those amino acids. So I was, at one point or another, rather like a lot of people that are asking, I was sucked into that part of it. I needed to know. I thought, this is important for me. But then it came a certain point where I thought to myself, hang on a second, I feel like I'm doing the right thing by cutting out animals. It was the right thing for my heart. It was the right thing for my spiritual journey to stop being violent towards animals. And I said to myself, if I'm doing the right thing by not doing that, and I knew in my heart that I was absolutely doing the right thing, then I knew that I would definitely be doing the right thing by diet too. So it was confusing for me about why I was concerned about things like calcium that I wasn't getting from milk anymore, when I knew that I was doing the right thing by not stealing any baby's milk. So that pushed all the worries aside for me. And really since that time I haven't been concerned, and I do think that part of the problem when people get deficiency problems, because people do get deficiency problems, I think it can be caused partly because they are worried and concerned, and they get this stress, and it creates this almost like negative placebo where you just feel like you're doing the wrong thing, you're not getting it there because you're worried about it, and that worry can create that deficiency. And maybe it's the fact that we don't give a shit really about those things that has helped us to not have any problems with them.
Yes, and that's exactly what I noted. It's not healthy to worry about your vitamins and minerals. This is actually very unhealthy for you, as Mango said. So I fully agree with it. It's very sad that people create such toxins in their body, but by worrying, oh my God, do I have enough B12? Do I have enough vitamin A, B, C, and what have you? That is very unhealthy. That is what can make you not sufficient what your body needs. And if you not eat your natural food, you may have easily deficiencies. When I see on some raw food recipes that go even for raw food people, there is so many, in my books, unhealthy ingredients, and so many ingredients in just one meal. It just horrifies me. If I eat it, I would definitely not be well. I know that much. And I forgot to mention with my blood sugar, the doctor put blood, my blood sugar was perfect as well.
Yeah, and if you're worried about things like having too much sugar because you're eating a fruit diet, you should know that there are people out there that have cured their type 2 diabetes from switching over to a fruitarian diet. Don't trust us. Do the research yourself. There's even one guy whose name I don't recall, but I'll try and stick him in the description underneath. He has had type 1 diabetes, and has largely managed to control it using a fruit diet. If you're thinking of fruit as sugar, then you're making the same mistake as thinking of nuts as protein or whatever it is, because fruit is fruit. You can't break it down and just call it sugar. That's doing fruit a disservice. And you're doing yourself a disservice thinking of it that way too.
With the diabetes, I had a neighbor. She had diabetes and she was very scared of it because she had it for years, and even she was going to doctors all the time and eating what they give it to her, all the medication and stuff. She wasn't improving, she was getting worse. And she walked around my place, she saw me working in a garden, she came to me, greeted me, and we ended up having amazing conversation. And when we finished that conversation, she told me, God sent me today to you because I prayed to God today to send me somebody to help me with this disease. I explained to her to eat fruit. When I said to her, eat fruit, she said, no, doctor told me not to eat fruit. I can have just like half of apple a day, that's about it. Or half of any fruit, maybe not all fruit. And I said, okay, doctor tells you this, and are you improving? Are you getting better? She said, no, I'm getting worse. I said, okay, try what I tell you and see for yourself if you're getting better or not. She started eating fruit, not only fruit, but a lot of fruit. And she was getting better. And each time she saw me after that, each time she hugged me and she told me, "You are the best doctor." And I told her, "I'm not the best doctor. You are the best doctor because you listen to me, you try, and the fruit is the best doctor because that's what you're eating." So that's the story I'm going to end up. I'm going to share today with you about nutrition.
Yeah, well, sugar is another one of the ingredients that people are always asking about as well, or saying you've got too much of. It's good you mentioned it.
Yeah, also today, when I look in those articles today, they present to people the media today, not only today, it's already going for a few years, sugar is bad for you. And a lot of people, if they ask me for help, and I tell them eat fruit, they said, "Oh no, that's a sugar, I can't eat that, sugar is bad for you, sugar is bad for me." So it's already working into people's mind. The fruit has a sugar, it's not sugar, sugar is the white powder made in a factory from sugar beets or sugar cane. It's not sugar, that's sugar.
Yeah.
The fruit doesn't have sugar, it's natural fructose.
Exactly. People confuse the two, but they're very different.
They're very different things. One
Yeah.
is natural, one is made in heavy-duty chemical process. You can Google it if you really concern how the process of the sugar looks and go from there. And how process of the sugar in a fruit, how that comes. You know, how that process actually looks. And use your logic, use your own mind, you have it, so just go for it. That's all from us today. Don't forget about love, cultivate love in your heart. Until next time, all the best.
Bye.
Bye.